Oh, they'll be calling you a radical. This is for the big kids. I'm kettled in so deep it doesn't really, our small army. So we just keep fighting. So the freak show is gathering in Glasgow, Scotland. They're gathering like witches at black masses. I thought London Liz was sick. Oh, she's going. They got to report to their queen. I thought we had a Revolutionary War. I thought this is the birthplace of so-called the old United States. Americana was fighting back against imperialism, fighting back against monarchs, the British Empire. They're headed to the British Empire. I thought Scotland was getting out. Where's William Wallace when you need him? So, why is Biden going? Best puppet in history. Might as well take Donald 1, Donald 2, and Donald 3. Might as well take Trump. Look up Donald Trump and Hillary's lines. They both trace to where? Scotland. What? Jonah Bonaparte, monarchies. Well, to the old monarchy. The Donald 1 and Donald 2 was her sons. You can't make it up. So, I want to talk. In California, this guy comes out and says we need to cut down a whole bunch all along the roads. This is important. Although not because some of these sequoias are wounded. And, they'll probably survive like they have. They're 5,000-year-old trees. He wants to start cutting them all down. And he says, because we're afraid one might fall on a car. I got a better idea. Why don't you shut the road? Close the road. People can hike in, take their chances with a fallen tree. Well, that's what we do every day. We're driving on freeways, aren't we, in California? You want to take massive risk every day that we take as Americanas. The risk of getting, and I'm so tired of armchair freaking doctors. I am so sick of it. And I get it. Regular doctors almost bad. This is important. The first 7 doctors, I say it. If I would have listened to the first 7 doctors, and I can name them off, talk about quacks, the first 7, I would be dead. You have to develop a relationship with someone you trust. And trust is not given. They have to earn it. I finally got in to see Vincent Hansen, who I trusted him. That guy eats, sleep, drink cancer since he was a child. Vincent Hansen. And they overrode the rest of them. Thank God I refused the surgery. I had a GI tell me there was nothing wrong with me, that it was just an ulcer. Oh my God. I had a guy say he was going to open me and gut me. I had 2 guys tell me to go home with hospice. I had a doctor of Japanese descent who practiced medicine in Japan, came over here. The irony, and told me there was nothing wrong with me. I had the University of Utah, Lusher Good to Death, who says, hand me a check for $50,000 in cash right now or we won't even talk to you. Still suing me for $1,200 for a phone consultation. And the phone consultation went like this. Bring me a check. Bring me a check. You got money? Bring me a check. Bring me a check. And the luxury good of death they call Scripps and Huntsman chemical cancer. That's not my term. That's not my term. That's what the brass at LDSE State calls them. That's what the doctors call them in there. I remember when I first went in there, you can go to Luxury Good of Death and eat the hotel food and die, or you can come here. Our food's not so good. I remember I told the doctor, this is a great line, and he says, they came in, because you can't eat anyway, you're so sick. Because they put you on Lasix. They bloat you out, fill you up before they heavy chemo you. And by the way, I had the mushroom root. One of the first ones. It worked. But what we're also finding out, that mushroom chemo, it's not your father's chemo. Oh, it works. But too much of it, not enough. It also wears out other things. My teeth are gone. As you know, my aortic valve went. I had open heart surgery and kicked off Medicaid by Mike Lee. You don't think that's attempted murder? I saw a doctor named Michael Hawkins at Ogden Regional Medical Center who was not a doctor. I guess I didn't find out that you can represent yourself as a doctor in an emergency room in the state of Utah if you have a chiropractic. told me there was nothing wrong with me. He ran the test. Go see, I collapsed the next day. I had a completely failed ortho. You can't sue for malpractice. I will quote the attorney that I talked to, unless you're dead. Well, that doesn't do a lot of good. I mean, just like remember the Roundup settlement? Remember that one? You know, 5-6 years ago. Yep, we're settling Bayer. Why would Bayer buy Monsanto? They're settling. They haven't settled with anyone. It's unbelievable. Still $1 billion, pay back $1 million. That's the justice system in this country. That's your judicial. Corporations are people, yet we just stand down. We just stand down. I mean, Fukushima doesn't prove you who runs the world. I mean, the American populace, they don't want the truth. They have no... So, I want to discuss this. Vaccinations are an individual choice. I get that. I absolutely 100% get that. I mean, I get that. I had a vax early. I'm vaxxed. I listened to my doctor. Now, am I going to get a booster? I had the J&J. My doctor says, wait until we get some more. No, not yet. You know, I says, what about crossing? No. He says, wait. So that's what I'm going to do because he saved my life. You know, I still get people telling me how to survive cancer over and over. Do this, do that. Oh, yeah. I remember people unsubscribed to my channel because I took chemo. I had acute. When the doctor uses the word acute on you, it's not chronic. That's a different animal. The average, I mean, I have multiple myeloma. AML is a multiple myeloma. It's OS de Nuvo, presented in tumors in myself. I diagnosed myself. I found a YouTube video with 14 views. And 14 views. And it was a pathologist who said, I think pathologists get it wrong more than right. It presented in my lower right mesentery, and it was wicked. It was brutal. I mean, my light was already glaring. My antennas were up because my work as an anti-nuclear activist all these years in my educational background. My uncle who's dead, famous heart surgeon, told me when he was alive, Kevin, you know, I could feel that valve in my heart because I was a mutated kid. I had a, you know, heart murmur, bad one. Wait, don't let them open up until kick the can, kick the can, kick the can. They'll get better at it. Kick the can. Don't let them open unless you're going to die for anything. It's so true. You know, all these unnecessary surgeries, knees, shoulder, if you don't need them, don't get them. Because we know that cancer seeds. I mean, there's data out there. You can look it up that unnecessary surgeries, then later, right, not long, cancer appears. It's true. And so, you know, you have to be your own advocate. I met with that doctor who saved me on the internet in New York. We went to dinner. I said, you know, you saved my life. Yeah. He said, I mean, he did. I mean, and so I argued with the pathologist. The pathologist said he never had it wrong. So he had it wrong. It was wicked. It was brutal. I didn't have a transplant. This is important. I did not have a transplant. And, you know, this has become a research library now because everything's kettled. Contemporary culture, and they've turned YouTube, which should just be an organic, incredible genre. Now it's cable TV. So you have to dig. But that's what it was in the old days, right? That's what it was when you were doing a PhD. You placed it in the library. And then out of the goodness of your heart, and then when somebody's doing work later on, a grad student or, you know, whatever, of course they'd catch it. Now it'd be just a grassrooter. They could find it. You got to seek out your knowledge. And this is important for you get cancer. Go to work. There's stuff out there. I did not have a transplant. I had OS de Nuvo multiple myeloma with a marker of 44. That's a high one. They backtracked because it got misdiagnosed in the dish. Don't trust the pathologist right off the get. Do your own work. Pathology, I mean, it's life or death. And they get it wrong a lot. You know, they're better at it now. So I've done it organically, if you haven't noticed. I juice every day. I mean, it's been intense. I mean, here it is. There's 10,500 videos later to show you how. You know, you don't have to watch them all, but you can see. Given no chance, I'm coming down the stretch. I got vaxxed because I have leukemia. Wearing a mask? Come on, I've been wearing a mask off and on for 10 years. My immune system is compromised, obviously. I had open heart surgery. My teeth have gone. I was one of the first guinea pigs on the ARC. We know that it works, this cocktail. We know that it works now, but too much, it will kill you because it likes to eat up other organs. It's like people are using the tiger tail, of course, from China. But if you use too much of it, you're drinking too much of that tea, it will eat up your gallbladder. It'll eat up your liver. It'll eat up your kidneys. And ate up my gallbladder. My emergency surgery. I was kicked off Medicaid. I was a millionaire when I got sick. I had 30,000 shares of Tesla stock. Do the math. I had to fork it all over. I was so impoverished and poor. And that's what people don't realize about us cancer victims. This is a long, ugly battle. I mean, it doesn't just, your bald head goes away, your hair starts growing back, and everybody runs around in front of you. That's not the way it works. It's a long, long battle. And I didn't have a transplant. So, whoa. Whoa. It financially destroys you. Relationships are blown to smithereens. So, that's what we're all up against now. Because KSL from hell here, they won't report a childhood cancer epidemic, which we have. I like that now they're using the weather as a propaganda piece. KSL. Yesterday, I'm listening to the radio, freaking getting weather update. Cyclone bomb. Cyclone bomb to hit. What the fuck's a cyclone? I've never heard that one before. This is going to be the greatest rainstorm in history. We're going to get high. Barely even rained. Hardly even rained. A little drizzle all night. Greatest, wettest October. No, it's not. It's not the wettest October. They're just lying. So now the Tribune goes out and interviews a professor. You got to listen to this one. I'll tag it. Oh, God. Thank you, Mr. Obvious. The dust coming up off Utah is toxic and dangerous because the Great Salt Lake's the lowest it's ever been. And there's thousands of acres of mudflat out there in the storms. Well, who's been screaming that for 10 fucking years? Who's been screaming that? I mean, I feel invisible. I feel like I'm fucking truly the son of Cassandra. If you know who Cassandra was, she was the beautiful, incredible. She wouldn't give it up to Apollo. Says, no, he says, I will curse you if you don't know. I'm holding on to my integrity. You'll be able to see the future. What kind of curse is that? No one will believe you. And your sons, daughters. I hear the voices of my great-granddaughters. Why is people not asking me how to survive? Maybe my daughter says it blows my mind, Kevin, that how you have done interviews on here, just this fact alone. Especially here in Utah. I'm like, they hate cancer survivors. They hate us. Only the good. It blows my mind. I mean, it's like in sport. I'm like, isn't the goal to win? Isn't the goal to beat this? That's what I thought. Apparently not. It's like in sports. It's all merchandising. Cowboys the most valuable franchise when they haven't won 25, 30 years. I mean, it's not about winning anymore. It's about sports merchandising. If Damian Lillard making the thing doesn't prove that to you, I don't know what does. And because he sells so much merchandise. He's a good Adidas soldier. Please, what about Walt Bellamy? What about Willie Nellis? What about, there's so many. What about Kai Irving? If he's on it, what? What about Tommy Hines? That might be top 10. And it just shows you how fucked up American culture is. They have no memory. They have no investigation. They don't even have, recency. That's even tainted. Cyclone bomb. They're using the weather now as a propaganda piece. Ignore the incredible epic drought. Ignore the toxin that's coming over your children are breathing. Ignore it all. And by the way, I'm against children being vaxxed. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I've been vaxxed. But remember, I've been fighting AML leukemia without a transplant. My doctor, go talk to him. That's what kills me. All over Marshall Jets was all over the media. I love Marshall, the pioneer. KSL, every news station in the world did international headlines. They had a party up at his house, KSL sponsored. I caught like this with Marshall. He was in the room next to me. I love that guy. I'm friends with his wife. He has a little child, too. There's who we should be supporting. She spoke at Light the Night. Now it's Mark Harrison, who has a very survivable cancer, the same CEO of IHC. The most famous cancer patient probably in the world over the last decade. You're looking at him and Marshall. They didn't say anything when Marshall passed away. I mean, I went out to Black Rock and did that ceremony for him. Broke my heart when I found out. Really broke my heart. He was the first one to get the AIDS injection ever in the world. You know, I'll tell you an incredible spiritual story. It sends shivers up my spine. I'm in New York. I'm sick. I'm protesting. I was being interviewed by the Princeton Review and I believe the New Yorker at the same time. And those cowards, and I got into it with them, had my shoes around my neck, and they're like, we started talking Fukushima. They were going to do peace, you know. And then they got to the part I started talking about my cancer. Remember, I was very, very sick in those days. I was sucked up. This is 2013, 14-ish. Both of them. One of them says, well, we don't want to hear. What do you mean you don't want to hear? You don't want to hear the cancer part of it? Why? It's too hard for. What do you mean too hard? No, it's not. That is the story of Fukushima. Kevin Blanch is the story of Fukushima. It's too hard for me, he says. Well, the other one says, me too. And I says, fuck you, this interview's over, you fucking coward weaklings. You're not going to panty paint in my work. You know, that's why I put my PhD right here. This is the greatest PhD in human history. It's pathetic. So, I've got a layover in Philadelphia, of all places. I'm in the Philadelphia airport, and I look over, waiting for the flight to go to Salt Lake. I look over and I see Marshall Jensen's family members. I'm like, what? And some LDS nurses. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? Don't you know? What? Marshall's here. He's the first one in the world that's getting the... What is the fucking odds of that? I mean, it's been a hell of a spirit. Only the good die young, I want to tell everybody. And my nephew's fighting neuroblastoma. He's alive. My little step-granddaughter is fighting ALL. She's both bald-headed, both primary children, both fighting for their lives right here, right now. I was head of the support group until that ended because of COVID. You know, people talking Colin Powell. COVID didn't kill Colin Powell. Multiple myeloma, the same thing that killed freaking Rumsfeld. Karma? Oh, it matters, but they have a whole... I have some... chemo rue for you, and I have some for me, but you must wear yours. You get COVID when you're under freaking multiple myeloma. You know what the survival rate of that is? Let alone being 84 years old. Forget about it. They cut off, Medicaid cuts off the transplant at 72. You do know that because they don't work. Because, I mean, it's rare. You get COVID while you're freaking fighting this disease. I mean, that's why they've got these units sealed up like a drum. Oh, rightfully so. I mean, it's heartbreaking if you've got diagnosed with cancer over the last 2 years because of COVID. And by the way, you know my hypothesis on COVID. You know, it's the same as Einstein's, Albert's. Dear Prudence. Wow. They're going to let this loose. The cover-up of Fukushima has cost, I mean... That cover-up is the greatest crime in human history. You can go in denial. You know, somebody says, oh, you still make it. I'm not making videos. I'm a freaking activist. It's all I have because the media is captured. Oh, we're going to get a cyclone. They're using weather propaganda now. Go shopping. Go shopping. Ships lined up. Consume. Get shopping. You know, economy. Ignore the fucking elephants in the room. Fukushima, the weather. Fuck, it barely even fucking rained. Here, let's walk out here. It barely even rained here on the fucking mighty Wasatch. This is going to be the greatest, biggest fucking storm in history. Cyclone bomb. I mean, and these guys go along with this bullshit. It barely fucking rained. How about that fucking view, huh? It barely rained. I mean, it rained. We've had some moisture, but fuck. Cyclone bomb. A very typical fucking late October day. That's what it does here. Snows on the Wasatch in late. I mean, that's fucking... It could snow on the ground here in September, which it did in 2010, 2011. Dramatic. Where'd you sleep last night? Don't you like in the dead fucking pines where the sun's from Fukushima, Japan always shines? I mean, these videos are long, but come on, let's save some people's lives. Come out of denial. Fukushima denial is the greatest mental illness in fucking history. This propaganda machine, the media, they're using weather as propaganda now? What the fuck next? What don't they use as propaganda? And these people go along. This imperialism fucking freak show. It's not capitalism. It's not socialism. It's not freaking, well, it's imperialism. You know? Billionaires who pay no taxes and everybody, the indentured slaves are all you have, I love it. You know, Donovan Mitchell running with a bulletproof vest when really Black Lives Matter springed out of the Million Mass March. That's an unarguable fact. Was started by Kevin Blanch on the foundation of the Million Mass March was started by John Anthony and Kevin Blanch on the foundation of the Fukushima disaster. And Danielle Willard in 2012. That's the heinous one of them all, cop murder freaking person, Danielle Willard. That's the one that it was started on. It's an unarguable fact. Right here in Utah. Here's Donovan Mitchell, who I know. I flew to Utah with him on the plane. Go ask him. We had quite a conversation in the airport. Go talk to him. When he came here in 2017, I was flying from Italy on a layover. Go talk to him. Go ask him. Bulletproof vest. And I'm like, hey, dude, I emailed these people. The cop kill innocent people capital of the world is right here in Utah. I don't see one Utah's name on. They co-opt the movement. The NBA is imperialism. I mean, it's billionaire bat from, I mean, come on. It's disgusting sport what it's evolved into. It's not a sport. It's disgusting. It's imperialism. It's about sports merchandising. That's all it's about. Get your slave-made gear. Why don't you go buy used stuff? We have a great used store here. We have the best fucking used clothing store I've ever seen. It's Savers right here in Ogden. Oh, it's a gem. And people use it's giant. And they got it figured. You know, don't fill up our landfills. I mean, they're all over. And it's packed. And I tell you what, and they sell stuff at, oh God, dirt cheap prices. Because, I mean, it's what a business model they have. They're all over it. There's people that try here. My dogs died of cancer. My mom died of cancer. You know, my neighbors on both sides, post-Fukushima. These guys drive around, spray radio Roundup. They got dead caught. EPA see them. Nothing. Run for the cure. To hell with the cause. They don't realize that they're doing it themselves. So, they're using weather now as propaganda. It doesn't matter if I get 32 views on this. I want people to understand. I'm so sick of armchair doctors. Most doctors, I mean, you got to be your own advocate and use the internet. Even my doctor says, God, boy. And he came into my room one day, Fimbo, and he says, here's a study I found in South Korea. And he laid it down. And I reached my bag. I says, oh, that one? I worked it hard. I was my own. If I wasn't my own advocate, I'd be dead. You know, and we made the choice. And this YouTube fucking site is about Survivor. It's about thriving. It's about knowledge. It's about the truth. It's about the reality. You know, so. The Great Salt Lake's gone dry. Thank you, Mr. Obvious. Tell stuff after the fact. Kevin Blanch has been screaming that for 10 years. Why we could have done something. Oh, yeah, we could have done something about it. I mean, quit stealing the water out of the freaking things, but shut down all the nuclear plants in the world. You don't think that's climate change? This is acute climate change. My salmon data proves, my tide pools proves it. Talk about me on my Nobel Prize. Talk about ignoring the new Semmelweis, the new Tesla. It's irony because I had all that Tesla stock, and look who he's turned out to be. I remember throwing down my portfolio. Look, I'm not poor. Vincent, here's my stock portfolio. Well, you're going to fork it all over. My bill was $1.8 million. I was on Medicaid. Mike Lee sent all our money back here in Utah in 2015. He's idealistic. Our own money. You go ask Huntsman. He went crazy about it. Our idealistic stance against Obamacare. They had a shortfall, so they kicked all single males. I was in a bone marrow transplant. I was in LDS when he kicked me off. Almost cost me my life. I was due to have the gallbladder and a very delicate because my platelet counts are so low. They wouldn't do it because I was out of money. I mean, I forked over $1 million. Had my open heart surgery. Whoa. I mean, what a journey this has been. Sent home. I've collapsed right there on Easter Sunday. After Michael Hawkins at Ogden Medical Region Center, who's advertising their great hot dog, told me there was nothing wrong with me. Go home the next day. I collapsed. I got up to the emergency room at McQuack-D, and the attending physician, he's like, oh, Dr. Blanch. I said, Dr. Blanch, what are you talking about? He says, remember me? I was in your class when you were a student professor. You're the best freaking professor I ever. I said, you're a doctor? Yeah. I said, you're a real one or just like, no. I'm going to take care of you. And he ultrasounded me. I mean, the girl that ultrasounded me is a childhood primary children survivor. Her and I become friends over this. What a freaking trip this has been, man. Claudio says that aortic valve is completely, and I knew it. I've been telling people that they wouldn't listen to me. I was kicked off Medicaid. I was out of money. You don't mind, Nobel Prize, open heart surgery, rip me open, split me. I mean, So this is important stuff. Cyclone bomb in Utah. How beautiful, huh? Oh my God, how beautiful is the mighty Wasatch this morning. Oh, what a view, huh? They can't take that away. They could. They'd saw tops off them if they could. How beautiful is the mighty Wasatch. Cyclone bomb. There's 5,000 fucking feet of snow up there. Get your skis out. The drought is on. Do not kid yourself. They're living in fairy tale land. You know, so it's the greatest ecological catastrophe in human history, and it's all coincidence post-Fukushima.